Welcome everyone to another deep dive into the fascinating and often surprising world of rare and valuable coins, where everyday pocket change can sometimes turn out to be worth a life-changing fortune. And in today's journey we're going to unravel the story of the 1975 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin that in an extraordinary and almost unbelievable turn of events has been valued at an astounding $8 million. A price tag that leaves many collectors, historians, and casual coin enthusiasts both astonished and deeply curious, because how can a simple copper coin that originally had a face value of just 1 cent end up being worth more than a luxury mansion, a fleet of high-end sports cars, or even a small island? And as we peel back the layers of its history, minting process, and the particular set of mistakes and anomalies that led to its extreme rarity, we'll explore not just the technical aspects of the coin but also the human stories of discovery, the historical context of its creation, and the speculative fever that can sometimes grip the numismatic world when an ultra-rare piece emerges. And to begin we have to transport ourselves back to 1975, a year rich in history, cultural shifts, and economic challenges, when the United States Mint in Denver was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln cents, still in the copper alloy composition that had been standard for decades, with each coin bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But hidden among these countless regular coins, a handful, perhaps only a few, would be struck with errors so significant that they turned into treasures for the ages. And in the case of the 1975 penny, it is not one single flaw that makes it so valuable but rather the rare convergence of multiple errors, unique striking circumstances, an incredibly low survival rate, creating a perfect storm of collectability. So let's first break down the types of errors that have been identified on known examples, starting with double die obverse varieties, where the die used to strike the coin had a misaligned or doubled image, resulting in certain features, often the date, mint mark, or parts of Lincoln's profile, appearing double to the naked eye or under magnification. And for the 1975 one such variety shows a dramatic doubling on the date and the "In God We Trust" motto, something that not only adds visual intrigue but also instantly marks it as a rare variety. Then there are off-center strikes, which occur when the coin blank is not perfectly seated in the collar during striking, causing the design to be shifted and leaving part of the planchette blank. And while mild off-centers are relatively common and not worth huge amounts, a high percentage off-center strike combined with a visible full date and mint mark can be exceptionally desirable. And with the 1975 there have been reports of off-center errors that still clearly show the full date, an important factor in collector value. But perhaps the most remarkable and value-driving error for this coin lies in the realm of transitional or wrong planchette strikes, meaning the coin may have been struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination or year's composition, and in some known 1975 error sense, analysis has shown them to be on planchets of incorrect weight or metal composition, such as being struck on a foreign coin blank or an older leftover planchette. And these anomalies are incredibly rare because they require a very specific set of circumstances at the mint, often involving human oversight or machine malfunction. And what amplifies the desirability even further is that in the mid-1970s, the mint was producing coins not just for domestic use but also for other countries, sometimes striking foreign coins on contract, which means the presence of a wrong planchette from another currency in the Denver facility is not outside the realm of possibility, adding a delicious layer of mystery to the coin story. And of course we must not overlook striking errors such as broad strikes, where the collar fails and the coin expands beyond its normal diameter, or die caps, where a struck coin sticks to a die and impresses its design onto multiple planchets in distorted fashion. And while some of these errors can be dramatic and eye-catching, it's the combination of one or more of these mistakes on a coin with an already low mintage in its error form that creates the $8 million phenomenon, because in numismatics rarity plus demand equals value, and when rarity is multiplied by an iconic design and a coin in exceptional condition, perhaps even mint state or proof-like in quality, the value can skyrocket into the millions, which brings us to the condition factor, since even the rarest error coin will not fetch top dollar if it's heavily worn, scratched, or corroded. And with the 1975 cent, the known high-value specimens are in extraordinary condition, often graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS65 or higher, meaning their luster, strike sharpness, and surface preservation are near perfection. And the fact that an error coin could survive for nearly half a century without entering heavy circulation adds to the intrigue, raising questions about whether it was set aside by a mint employee, pulled from circulation almost immediately by an astute collector, or perhaps stored unknowingly in a private stash. Until its rediscovery, and then we must consider the historical context, because in 1975 the United States was dealing with inflation, political fallout from Watergate, and shifting economic policies, and while these factors may seem unrelated to a single coin, they actually influence the minting environment indirectly, as budget pressures, production targets, and minting technology upgrades can all affect error rates and the likelihood of unusual pieces slipping through quality control, and beyond the technical aspects lies the powerful allure of the 1 cent worth millions, a narrative which fuels media coverage, collector interest, and auction fever, creating a feedback loop where each publicized sale of a rare coin encourages more people to search their change, increasing the chances of new discoveries but also driving up the perceived value of existing known specimens, and in the case of the 1975 D penny, a single high-profile auction result in the millions can set a benchmark that redefines the market for similar coins, leading to private sales at even higher prices, and the mystique deepens when you factor in the possibility of undiscovered specimens still hidden away in jars, boxes, or collections, waiting for someone to realize what they have, because unlike some collectibles that can be easily reproduced or faked, authentic mint errors with verifiable provenance are extremely hard to replicate convincingly, meaning genuine examples hold their value remarkably well over time, and the investment appeal of such a coin goes beyond its numismatic interest. It becomes a tangible asset, a piece of history, and a conversation piece that combines art, history, metallurgy, and economics in a way few other objects can, and as we imagine the journey of one of these rare 1975 D cents, from the moment a blank planchette perhaps intended for another coin accidentally found its way into the presses at the Denver Mint, to the strike that imparted its doubled, off center or otherwise flawed design, to its quiet life in someone's pocket, drawer, or collection, and finally to the dazzling lights of a high-stakes auction where bidding wars erupt between passionate collectors, we start to understand why a humble penny could command $8 million, and the possibilities for what else might be out there are endless, because while the known examples are few, numismatic history teaches us that new discoveries happen even decades after a coin's minting. And for anyone who loves the thrill of the hunt, the 1975 D penny story is a beacon of hope and excitement, a reminder that treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places, and so the moral here for collectors, casual enthusiasts, and even the merely curious is simple: check your change, learn to recognize the signs of an error coin, understand the grading and authentication process, and never underestimate the potential of even the smallest, most humble pieces of currency, because as the story of the 1975 D Lincoln Memorial Cent proves, sometimes 1 cent is all it takes to change your life forever, and as the legend of this coin continues to grow, with its combination of striking errors, historical context, immaculate preservation, and the irresistible allure of extreme rarity, it stands as one of the greatest examples in modern numismatics of how a seemingly ordinary object can become an extraordinary fortune, and that's why the hunt never ends, the curiosity never fades, and the excitement never dies in the fascinating world of coin collecting, where history and chance collide in the palm of your hand. Next! Today we are going to explore the mind-blowing story of the 1989 Lincoln Memorial 1 cent coin that, in a rare and extraordinary combination of minting mistakes, historical circumstances, and sheer rarity, has been valued at an unbelievable $2.3 million, an amount so staggering for a penny that it instantly captures the imagination of both seasoned numismatists and everyday people alike. Because when you think of a penny you picture something ordinary, something common, something that rattles around in jars or slips unnoticed between couch cushions, but in the world of rare coin collecting, a single example with the right combination of errors, condition, and provenance can become one of the most desirable pieces in existence, and the 1989 penny we are talking about today is exactly that. A tiny copper-plated zinc disc whose journey from the US Mint to the hands of collectors has been marked by a perfect storm of anomalies, so to truly understand why this coin can command millions we have to go back to 1989, a year of significant events both globally and domestically, the final years of the Cold War, the rise of new technologies, and an America dealing with changing economic landscapes. But for the US Mint, 1989 was a year of enormous coin production, churning out billions of Lincoln cents to keep up with demand, each bearing the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design in use since 1959. But among these billions of coins, a vanishingly small number emerged that were not like the others, struck with a variety of mint errors that individually might be collectible, but when combined on a single coin elevate it into the realm of near-mythical rarity, and when we say errors we're not talking about minor scratches or discoloration from circulation, we mean genuine minting mistakes, accidents in the coin's creation process that result in physical features that deviate from the intended design in such a way that they are both unusual and verifiable. And the first major factor in the 1989 penny's incredible value is the possibility of a double die obverse, a type of error where the coin die itself, used to strike the blank planchette, has an image that was impressed twice, slightly offset between impressions, creating a doubling effect on the coin, often visible in the date, the mint mark, or the lettering such as Liberty or In God We Trust, and for the rare 1989 specimen the doubling is not subtle but dramatic, a clear sign to collectors and graders that this is no ordinary penny, and doubling on a date as late as 1989 is particularly interesting because by this point the mint had improved quality control compared to earlier decades, making such dramatic double dies much scarcer. And then there's the issue of planchette errors. Because while 1989 cents were meant to be struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, some of the rarest examples were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets from pre-year 1982 or on foreign coin blanks being produced at the mint under contract, and a coin struck on the wrong planchette not only has the wrong weight but sometimes the wrong color, thickness, or metallic properties, making it a standout anomaly that can be confirmed with a simple weight test or metal analysis. And when you add to this the possibility of an off-center strike, where the design is shifted away from center, leaving part of the planchette blank, you start to see how multiple errors can overlap, creating a coin that is unlike anything else in the mintage. And in the known multi-million-dollar examples of the 1989 cent there have been instances where a dramatic off-center strike combined with a double die and wrong planchette creates a one-of-a-kind piece. And in numismatics rarity is everything, because when there is only one or two known examples of a certain error combination, the sky is the limit for auction prices. And speaking of auctions, the $2.3 million valuation for this coin did not just appear out of thin air. It is the result of intense competition among elite collectors who recognize the historical significance and aesthetic appeal of such an error. And when wealthy collectors go head-to-head in bidding wars for a piece they may never see again in their lifetime, prices can soar beyond what most people think is possible for a penny. And part of what fuels this market is condition, because even with a dramatic error, a coin that is heavily circulated or damaged will be worth less than one that is in pristine condition. And the known high-value 1989 error cents are in near-mint state, with sharp details, brilliant luster, and minimal contact marks, as graded by top-tier services like PCGS and NGC. And this exceptional preservation suggests that these coins may have been pulled from circulation immediately after striking or even before leaving the mint, possibly by an employee or early collector who recognized their uniqueness, though of course in the numismatic world such origin stories are always a mix of speculation and intrigue. And it is worth noting that in the late 1980s the mint's production facilities were under pressure to meet high output demands while also experimenting with improved die-making technology. And in rare cases this combination of volume pressure and transitional processes can result in quality control lapses that allow spectacular errors to slip through. And this is why 1989, despite being a high mintage year, still managed to produce a coin of such rarity and value. And when we consider all the possible error types that could apply, double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchette errors, broad strikes where the collar fails to restrain the planchette causing an expanded blank-like edge, die cracks where a fractured die leaves raised lines on the coin, or even struck-through errors where a foreign object like grease or fabric gets between the die and planchette, we begin to understand how varied and unpredictable the minting process can be. And for the 1989 penny in question, the combination of these anomalies created something so visually distinct and so technically unusual that its desirability is not just about rarity but about the story it tells, because a rare coin is not just a piece of metal, it is a frozen moment in the life of the mint, a tangible artifact of a mistake, an accident that somehow made it past all checkpoints. And the excitement for collectors comes from holding a piece of that history in their hands, and that excitement is magnified by the fact that there could still be other undiscovered examples out there, sitting unnoticed in change jars, coin rolls, or old collections, just waiting to be identified. And every time a high-profile auction sale happens it reignites the search, prompting both serious and casual collectors to check their pennies more closely. And while many will not find a multi-million-dollar coin, the possibility itself adds to the allure, and that possibility is why the 1989 Pennies story continues to captivate the numismatic world decades after it was struck, because it is a testament to how even in an era of mass production and advanced technology, the human element and the mechanical complexity of coin minting can still produce rare treasures by accident. And in this case an accident worth $2.3 million, and as the legend of this coin grows, so too does its role as a symbol of why coin collecting remains such a compelling pursuit, blending history, art, economics, and a sense of treasure hunting into one endlessly fascinating hobby, where a single cent can hold the key to a fortune and where the next great discovery could be hiding in plain sight, just like the 1989 Lincoln Memorial cent that defied the odds and became one of the most valuable modern pennies in existence. Today we are diving deep into the incredible story of the 2000 AD Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin, a piece that under the right combination of errors, condition, and rarity has been valued at a jaw-dropping $300,000, an amount that instantly turns heads and sparks curiosity, because when you think of a penny, especially one minted as recently as the year 2000, you likely imagine a mass-produced, common coin worth only its face value or perhaps even less if you consider the metal content, but in the intricate and often surprising world of coin collecting, all it takes is one mistake in the minting process, one small anomaly, to transform an otherwise ordinary coin into a prized possession that collectors will fight fiercely to own, and the 2000 AD penny is a perfect example of this phenomenon. A modern coin that has become legendary due to a series of minting errors and unique production circumstances that catapult its value far beyond its humble denomination, and to understand why, we have to take a step back and look at the historical and minting context of the year 2000, a year that marked the dawn of a new millennium, a time of economic optimism in the United States, and for the US Mint, an era of intense production as it churned out billions of coins to meet the demands of commerce, and among these billions, the Denver Mint was responsible for striking an enormous number of Lincoln cents, each with the familiar obverse design of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner and the reverse featuring the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in place since 1959, but as history has shown, no matter how advanced the technology or how stringent the quality control, minting errors still happen, and sometimes those errors are so unusual and so limited in quantity that they create coins of exceptional rarity, and in the case of the 2000 D penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, the story revolves around several possible error types and their rare combinations, starting with the double die obverse, a type of error that occurs when the coin die receives two impressions from the hub that are misaligned, resulting in visible doubling of the design elements, which in some cases can be seen with the naked eye in the date, the mint mark, or the inscription such as Liberty or In God We Trust, and while double dies are not unknown in the Lincoln cent series, dramatic ones on a modern date like 2000 are far less common, especially from the Denver Mint, which had made significant strides in reducing such errors by this time, and a pronounced double die instantly attracts the attention of collectors. But the 2000 D rarity story doesn't stop there, because there are also examples of this coin struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of being struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams, the coin was mistakenly struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or even for a foreign coin, which could result in differences in weight, thickness, and metal composition, and coins struck on wrong planchets are especially exciting because they bridge two areas of collecting, error coins and world coinage, making them appealing to a wider audience. And then we have the possibility of an off-center strike, where the planchet is not seated properly in the coining chamber during the strike, causing the design to be misaligned and leaving part of the blank visible, and while mild off-center strikes are relatively common, extreme off-center strikes with the full date and mint mark still visible are incredibly desirable and command high prices, and in some known valuable examples of the 2000 D penny, this off-center feature appears alongside other errors like a broad strike, which occurs when the retaining collar fails and allows the planchet to expand outward beyond its normal diameter, creating a coin that looks stretched or flattened, and these dramatic minting mishaps make for eye-catching and highly collectible pieces. But perhaps the most intriguing errors are the so-called mule errors, where a coin is struck with mismatched dies from two different denominations, and although extremely rare, there have been reports of Lincoln cents struck with reverse dies intended for other coins, and if such a mule error occurred in 2000 at the Denver Mint and survived quality control, it would instantly rank among the most valuable modern US coins. And when we combine the potential of a double die, a wrong planchet, an off-center strike, and possibly even a mule pairing, we get a coin that is not just rare but potentially unique, and in numismatics, uniqueness is the ultimate driver of value, because when there is only one example known to exist, collectors with the means will pay whatever it takes to own it, and part of what drives the high valuation of the 2000 era cent is the condition factor, because even the rarest era coin will not fetch top prices if it is heavily worn or damaged, but the specimens worth hundreds of thousands are in exceptional mint state condition, often graded MS65 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC, with strong luster, sharp strike details, and minimal contact marks, which indicates they were likely pulled from circulation almost immediately after striking, or perhaps never circulated at all. And this preservation is vital because it means the coin's errors are perfectly visible and unaltered by wear, allowing collectors to fully appreciate the unusual features, and the origin story of such coins often adds to their mystique, because while some may have been discovered in bank rolls or freshly minted bags, others might have been saved by mint employees or stumbled upon in the change given at a store, and every discovery fuels the excitement in the collector community, prompting others to search their own coins in the hope of finding another hidden gem, and the Denver Mint in 2000 was a high output facility under pressure to meet production goals, and under such conditions, even with modern machinery, the occasional slip could lead to extraordinary mistakes, and given that the mint also struck coins for other countries and other denominations in the same year, the possibility of planchet mix-ups or die swaps is very real, and when these errors occur in combination with exceptional preservation, the result is a coin like the 2000 penny that transcends its everyday purpose and becomes a treasure, and beyond the technical details lies the emotional and cultural appeal, because the idea that a common penny could be worth $300,000 captures people's imaginations, fuels media stories, and creates a sort of modern-day treasure hunt, and every time one of these coins comes up for auction, it draws attention not just from dedicated numismatists but from the general public, driving demand and pushing prices even higher, and this feedback loop, rarity leading to media attention, leading to higher demand, helps explain how such a recent coin could achieve such a remarkable valuation, and it serves as a reminder that while older coins often dominate discussions of rarity and value, modern coins are equally capable of producing surprises, and that the thrill of coin collecting lies in its unpredictability, where history, art, technology, and luck intersect in the palm of your hand, and the 2000 penny is a perfect embodiment of that magic, a small, shiny reminder that even in the age of precision manufacturing, the human element and the quirks of machinery can still produce true numismatic marvels, and as long as coins are being made, there will always be the possibility of such treasures emerging, waiting for a sharp-eyed collector to recognize them, and the story of the 2000 era cent worth $300,000 will continue to inspire that search, proving that in this hobby, the next great find could be sitting in your pocket right now, and that the joy of discovery is just as valuable as the coin itself.